Ladies, let me tell you something real. When a man sees that you've moved on, not just moved on, but moved on peacefully, something shifts inside him. See, peace is powerful. It's not loud, it's not messy, it's not vengeful, it's calm, confident, and unbothered. That's what shakes a man to his core. Not the drama, not the tears, not the late night calls. It's the silence, the glow up, the smile he didn't put there. When a woman chooses peace over pain, it shakes a man more than anything else ever could. See, what most men are used to after a breakup is noise, emotions flying, texts being sent, long calls filled with tears or anger. They're used to the drama, the back and forth, the energy that comes from you still being emotionally attached, because that means you still care. That means you're still reachable. That means they still have some kind of control. But when you go quiet, when you stop reacting, when you walk away and truly find peace within yourself, that's when it gets real for him. Now let me tell you something. Peace is a powerful thing, and it's misunderstood. A man might expect you to be sad, to chase after him, to post indirect messages online, to tell mutual friends how much you're hurting. That's the version of you he's braced for. That's the version he thinks confirms his importance in your life. But when you don't give him that, when instead you post a picture smiling, maybe out with friends, glowing, living, and genuinely at peace, that's when his whole perspective begins to shift. Peace tells a different story. It says, I'm good without you. It says, I'm healing without help. It says, you are a part of my life, not the definition of it. And to a man who once held your heart in his hands, that's not just unexpected, it's uncomfortable. See, what most men don't realize while they're in the relationship is how much energy they get from your love, even when they take it for granted. They get used to your good morning text, your emotional check-ins, your little acts of care, your presence. They think it's endless. They think you'll always be there, always be waiting, always be affected by what they do or don't do. But then something changes. One day, you stop showing up. You stop answering with your heart in your hands. You stop looking back. You stop explaining yourself. And instead of being wrapped up in the chaos of the breakup, you start protecting your peace. You start focusing on your growth. You start rebuilding your spirit. And that's what throws them off, because peace ain't loud. Peace don't argue. Peace doesn't demand closure. It just moves on. And that silence, that quiet glow, that unbothered attitude, that's louder than any shout could ever be. Let me put it this way. If pain is a fire, peace is the water. And when he sees that the fire is out, that the heat is gone, and you're walking around cool, calm, and collected, he has to ask himself some hard questions. Did she ever really need me like I thought? Did I matter as much as I assumed? How is she doing so well without me? Those questions echo in a man's mind, and let me tell you, those questions hurt more than any angry message ever could. And that's when the regret starts. Because here's the truth. Peace looks good on a woman. It shows up in her skin, in her walk, in her tone. It shows up in the way she laughs without trying to prove anything. It shows up in the way she talks about the future without bitterness. And when a man sees that from the outside looking in, it messes with him. It's one thing to know someone's healing. It's another thing to see it, to see the pictures, to hear the stories, to feel the shift in the way she carries herself. That's when he realizes he didn't break you. He didn't destroy your spirit. He may have hurt you, yes, but you didn't stay down. And that's what peace is. It's the bounce back. It's the quiet comeback. It's the confidence that doesn't need to be shouted from the rooftops. Some men will try to come back when they feel that energy change. They'll hit you with the, hey, just checking in, or the, I was thinking about you. Not because they've suddenly changed, but because they can feel that you've changed. and it bothers them. It bothers them that they no longer have that emotional grip on you. You see, your peace shows that you've let go, and not in the petty way, not in the I'm done but still stalking his page kind of way. I'm talking about real letting go, the kind where you don't even flinch when his name comes up, the kind where you genuinely want better for yourself and you're not looking back to see if he notices. That's when he notices. Because here's the thing, peace is attractive. It's magnetic. A woman in her peace draws in blessings, opportunities, new love and new light. She starts glowing from the inside out. And when a man sees that, especially one who fumbled her, he starts to feel the weight of what he lost. And that weight is heavy. He starts to remember how you made him feel, how you were his safe space, how you believed in him, supported him, cared for him. And now you're doing all of that for yourself. That's the part that hits the hardest. Because now he sees the version of you he always needed, and he sees it from a distance. Let me tell you something else. When you choose peace, you take back your power. And when a woman stands in her power, she becomes untouchable, not in a cold way, but in a whole way. A woman who's healed, who's centered, who's no longer chasing closure, that woman is a force. And every man who didn't value her feels that absence like an echo. So yeah, when a man sees you've moved on peacefully, it's not just a moment, it's a message. It tells him everything he didn't hear when you were begging to be seen, when you were crying to be understood, when you were holding on hoping he'd change. Your peace says it all, and trust me, he hears it loud and clear. Let me tell you something about men. They don't always realize what they had until it starts shining somewhere else. That glow up, ooh, that's real. And when it happens after a heartbreak, after pain, after someone underestimated your value, that glow up becomes a statement. Not one you have to say out loud, not one you shout or post about with revenge in your heart, but a silent and powerful message that hits different when he sees it. Your glow up is more than just doing your hair differently, dressing better, hitting the gym, or smiling in pictures. That's the outside part. But it's really what's happening on the inside that's making you shine. That inner peace, that healing, that growth, that's what's creating the glow. It's spiritual, it's mental, it's emotional, it's not makeup, it's not a filter. It's the light that comes from surviving something you once thought would break you. Now, men don't always pay attention when things are good. Some of them get comfortable. They get used to your love. They get used to you being there, supporting them, lifting them up, loving them through their mess. They don't always recognize that the woman they're taking for granted is the very same woman other men are praying for, but they don't see it, not at first. They think they've got time. They think you'll always be there. And when things end, they assume you'll be stuck, sad, lost, broken. But then they look up, and you're not down bad. You're glowing. You're out in the world becoming everything you were holding back while you were with him. You're dressing how you want. You're leveling up in your career. You're putting your energy into your passion. You're laughing harder, walking taller, speaking with clarity, and not for show. You're really good. That right there, that's his wake-up call. Because now he's realizing that all that potential he saw in you, he thought he'd be the one to unlock it. He thought he'd be part of that story. He thought you'd rise, but with him by your side. And now you're doing it without him. That's not easy for a man to swallow, especially if he didn't value the real you when he had the chance. See, here's what a lot of men don't understand sometimes. A woman's glow was dimmed in the relationship because she was pouring too much of herself into trying to keep the love alive. She gave and gave and gave until she forgot about herself. She shrank a little to make room for his dreams. She put her plans on pause to support his. She dimmed her light so he wouldn't feel insecure around her shine. But when she's free, when she's no longer tied to the weight of someone who couldn't see her worth, that light turns back on. And it doesn't just flicker, it blazes. And he sees it. Oh, trust me, he sees it. He might not say anything right away. You might not get a call or a message, but best believe he's watching. Whether it's through mutual friends, through social media, or just through the energy you're putting into the world, he feels it, and it starts to haunt him. Slowly, it sneaks up on him in quiet moments, late at night, during conversations, when he hears a song you both liked, when someone brings up your name and says, she's doing great now, and suddenly he's in his head. She looks different. She sounds different. She's glowing. She ain't even thinking about me anymore. That's when it hits. It's not always jealousy, it's realization. It's seeing the flower he didn't water now blooming in another garden. It's witnessing the blessing he didn't protect now becoming someone else's answered prayer. It's knowing that you were gold in his hands and he treated you like copper. And here's the part that really gets to him. You didn't glow up out of spite. You didn't do it to prove a point. You did it because you finally had the space and peace to do what you always wanted to do. You became you, the version of you that was hidden underneath all the emotional weight. And the fact that you did it without him, that's what stings. Let me tell you something else. Your glow up is also your healing. It's your way of saying, I'm no longer stuck in that version of me that tolerated less than I deserved. It's you stepping into your power, into your value, into your vision. You're eating better, thinking clearer, dreaming bigger. You're walking into rooms and not second guessing yourself. That confidence, that's not just attractive, it's powerful. It makes people take notice. And yes, he notices too. And the hardest part for him, you look happier now. And he knows he's not the reason. That glow up reminds him that you were never the problem. He starts seeing that you didn't change, you just adjusted to how you were being treated. And now that you're away from that energy, you've returned to yourself stronger, wiser, and more radiant than ever. So what does he do? Some men try to come back. They want to revisit the place they left. They want to touch that light again, hoping you'll welcome them back into your warmth. But baby, once you've glowed up, not just on the outside, but in your soul, you start to recognize who can't come with you. You're not just glowing for show, you're glowing because you grew. You're glowing because you let go. And some people don't get access to the evolved version of you. That's part of the glow too, discernment. So don't ever think your growth went unnoticed. It's noticed, quietly, deeply, and for him, painfully. Because your glow up is more than just an aesthetic. It's a reflection of everything you overcame. And for the man who thought you'd always be beneath your potential, that glow is his reality check. Your glow up isn't revenge, it's rebirth. Regret don't always make noise. Matter of fact, most of the time it comes in silence. See, when a man realizes he lost a good woman, you won't always get an apology. You won't always get that phone call with him pouring his heart out. You won't hear him say, I messed up, or I wish I treated you better. No. It usually doesn't come like that. Most of the time, regret creeps in when the world gets quiet, when his phone stops ringing, when nobody's around, when the distractions fade, and suddenly he has to sit with himself. That's when regret shows up and makes itself real comfortable. It doesn't knock on the door and say, hey, I'm here. It just walks in and starts whispering. You let her go. She would have never done you like that. She was solid, and you played with it. She loved you, and you took it for granted. That's how it starts. Those thoughts swirl around in his mind, and no matter how much he tries to block them out through women, through parties, through silence, through pride, they keep coming back. Because deep down, he knows who you were. He knows what you brought to the table, and now he realizes you were the table. But here's the thing, regret doesn't just hit because you left. It hits because you stayed as long as you did, loved as hard as you did, gave as much as you did, and he still couldn't get it right. It hits because he knows you didn't leave the first time he messed up. You forgave. You held on. You tried. You gave chance after chance. And he mistook that for weakness when it was really strength. A strength not many women have, a strength he won't find again so easily. Now, when he sees you gone, not just physically, but emotionally gone, when you've stopped calling, stopped checking in, stopped caring, he starts feeling the weight. And trust me, that weight is heavy. It doesn't come crashing in all at once. No, it builds slowly over time, one memory at a time. He sees a picture of you and his heart sinks just a little. He hears a song you used to love and it twists something inside him. He walks by a place y'all used to go and he stops for a moment, longer than he thought he would. That's regret talking. But again, it says nothing out loud. See, men are taught to hide emotion. Society tells them to man up, to move on quickly, to act like it doesn't hurt. So they front, they pretend, they walk around like they're unbothered, like they're living their best life. But the truth, it shows up in the quiet moments, when the mask slips off, when it's just him and his thoughts. He's scrolling through his phone, maybe looking for someone to talk to. And then he sees your name in the old messages. He clicks, thinking maybe he'll send a, "Hey, how you been?" But he knows he doesn't deserve to, so he doesn't. He just stares, reads the last words you sent, sees the love in your words, the effort, the care, and realizes he doesn't get that anymore. That's when regret speaks loudest, in his own silence. Now he's in a space where he knows what he lost, but he also knows he's the reason he lost it. And that's a bitter pill to swallow. Because regret isn't just about wishing you were still there. It's about knowing you should be and understanding why you're not. It's about knowing he had something rare, something real, something deep, and he fumbled it. And let me tell you something. When a woman moves on peacefully, when she heals, when she grows, when she glows, that regret doesn't get easier, it gets worse. Because now he sees you becoming everything he hoped you wouldn't become without him. Not because he didn't want good for you, but because he wanted to be the reason for your good. And now you're out there smiling, living, shining, and he ain't part of it. That eats at him. But he won't tell you that. He might not say a word. He'll like a picture here, maybe view a story there, just small things to remind you he's still lurking. That's all ego. That's all pride. Because his silence doesn't mean he's fine. It means he's struggling. It means he doesn't know what to say, how to say it, or if saying it would even matter anymore. Some men will go their whole lives pretending they're okay with losing you. They'll build lives, chase dreams, date other people, but that regret follows them. Every woman he meets after you will be compared to you. How you made him feel, how you supported him, how you understood him. And they might be beautiful, might be smart, might be great in their own way, but they're not you. And when a man has had you, he knows the difference. He may not admit it, but it'll show in how guarded he becomes, how he pulls back emotionally. Because deep down, he knows he had his shot with someone real, and he blew it. And even if he finds someone new, even if he builds something else, there's always that little voice, that little ache that reminds him you had her and you lost her. That's the power of a silent regret. It's invisible to the world, but heavy on the soul. See, most people think when someone loses a good thing, they'll come back begging, apologizing, doing everything to fix it. And sometimes they do, but more often than not, they just sit in their own silence, hoping maybe one day you'll break yours, hoping you'll be the one to reach out, hoping there's still a crack in the door. But when you don't, when you remain silent too, that's when he knows it's really over. That's when he realizes there's no going back. That's when regret becomes real. And there's nothing left to do but live with it. Because you were the blessing he didn't handle right. And now that blessing has moved on, and it don't come back once peace has been found. There's something special, something powerful about a woman who walks away without bitterness, without noise, without a need to be seen. That's not pettiness, that's power. Real grown woman power. And let me tell you, when a man sees that, it doesn't just confuse him, it humbles him. Because what he expected was the opposite. He expected drama, tears, texts, posts aimed at him. He expected you to spiral, to fall apart, to need closure, or chase a conversation that never ends. That's what he was ready for. But when you chose peace over performance, he didn't know what to do with that. Peace is a statement. It says, I know who I am. I know what I deserve. And I don't have to beg anyone to see it. That's a message you don't have to speak out loud because your actions deliver it for you. And trust me, when a man watches a woman step away with grace, he feels it in his chest. Because she's not trying to get revenge, she's not playing games, and she's not trying to prove anything. She just let go. Let me break this down. People confuse peace with weakness. They think because you didn't blow up, because you didn't go off, because you didn't drag him in the mud, you weren't hurt. Oh no, you were hurt. But you chose to heal instead of hurt back. You chose to rise instead of retaliate. And that choice, that takes a level of maturity and strength most people never reach. A peaceful exit means you've outgrown the need to be validated by someone who couldn't value you in the first place. It means you've reached a place where you no longer need to explain why you're done, because your peace is explanation enough. A man feels that deeply, especially when he knows he gave you every reason to lash out, to break down, to snap. But you didn't. You see, men expect energy in return. If they ghost you, they expect rage. If they mistreat you, they expect you to retaliate. But when you go quiet, when you don't respond, when you carry yourself with poise, that silence becomes the loudest thing in the room because it forces them to look at themselves. And let's be real, most people don't want to do that, especially not when they know they were wrong. A peaceful woman who walks away is a mirror. She makes a man confront his own reflection, his actions, his choices, his mistakes, because suddenly there's no distraction, no back and forth, no argument to fuel his ego, just you gone. And your absence starts to speak louder than your presence ever did. That's the power of peace. Now let's talk about what peace really looks like. It's not just unfollowing or deleting numbers. It's not just staying quiet online. Peace is an energy. It's the way you stop waiting for a text. It's how you stop hoping they'll come around. It's how you stop measuring your worth by how they treated you. Peace is when you start pouring back into yourself. When you start showing up for your life again, fully, intentionally, unapologetically. You're not waking up checking your phone anymore. You're not replaying arguments in your head. You're not trying to make sense of why they didn't see your value. You're busy building, living, healing, growing. You're choosing you, and not out of spite, but out of love. That kind of energy can't be faked. And when a man sees that, oh, it shakes him. He might not say it, he might not show it, but inside, he's wondering how you moved on so peacefully. He'll start telling himself stories to protect his ego. She never cared. She replaced me fast. She's pretending. But deep down, he knows the truth. You cared more than he did. You gave more than he did. And even with all of that, you still had the strength to walk away with dignity. That haunts a man more than any insult ever could. The world we live in now praises loud reactions, clapping back, exposing people, screenshots and shade. But you took the high road, not because you're weak, but because you're wise. You know your energy is too valuable to waste on someone who didn't recognize it the first time around. You know silence isn't emptiness, it's clarity. And you know that nothing disturbs a man more than a woman who moves on and never looks back. You didn't need to prove you were better. You just became better. And not in comparison to him, but in comparison to the version of you that once begged, once cried, once held on too tight. You evolved, you leveled up, and you didn't need revenge to do it. You used peace as your fuel. And that's rare. That's special. That's powerful. Now, let me tell you the cold truth. Some men never get over a woman who left peacefully. That kind of exit stays with them. They might laugh it off. They might act like they're fine. But when they lie in bed at night, when they see other women come and go, when they realize they haven't felt that same energy since, it hits them. She didn't leave with anger. She left with herself. And that's the part that stings the most. You took your light, your love, your calm, your care, and you kept it for yourself. That's a kind of closure most men don't recover from. Peace is a decision. It says, I no longer want to participate in cycles that exhaust my spirit. And once a woman makes that decision, she's gone for good. Not because she hates him, but because she finally loves herself enough to stop trying to fix what's broken beyond repair. That's what real power looks like. Quiet, calm, clear, undeniable. You could have exposed him. You could have embarrassed him. You could have dragged him through the mud, but you didn't. You healed in silence. You glowed in silence. And in doing that, you proved something stronger than any words ever could. You don't need closure from chaos when you've found peace within yourself. That's the kind of woman that stays in a man's memory forever.